Hi Leo, welcome back to my channel, Karma Fox. I am doing your weekly reading. I hope you're doing well. I want to take a second to remind you that this is a general reading. It may not resonate with every Leo out there. So guys, take what resonates for you, leave the rest for someone else. Remember, the energy can reverse. So if it's resonating, Leo, get in where you fit in, but don't force yourself into a reading that is not for you. Spirit, can I have the energy of the sign of Leo? Leo. All right, your energy came out fairly quickly, Leo. All right, so you have the Devil. You have the Page of Cups. And coming out together is Temperance along with the Ace of Swords. Interesting. All right. So I do feel like there's some sort of a temptation. For some of you, this is a new person in your life, which is very interesting. For others of you, though, there's possibly a renewal. Page of Cups is basically you kind of opening up your heart, but yet you're feeling that there's some kind of a toxic situation, and at the same time, you're drawn to it. So, you know, and it has to do with love. You're trying to find your balance within this situation. I do feel like you guys have done a lot of healing. And I also feel like you could be dealing with somebody that you're considering to be toxic, or you could be questioning yourself because you're trying to find clarity. How do I balance out my energies? How do I balance out my feelings and emotions? You know, it's almost like you're trying to find that sweet spot within a connection here. And it does look like it is a love connection. Some of you are embarking on something that you really love. It's a creative pursuit that you may have wanted to do for a very long time. Very interesting. But yeah, I definitely see there's been a lot of healing. I definitely see you trying to find the clarity on how to balance out your emotions, to stay grounded, and yet to enjoy whatever it is that's drawing you so strongly towards it. So let's see who's in your energy. I do see you vocalizing and speaking your emotions very clearly. And I see you putting a lot of effort into that, particularly in situations that you feel could be difficult or toxic. Show me who's in Leo's energy. Show me who's in Leo's energy. Well, they're just not wanting me to see who they are. I don't know who this is, but they might be a little secretive. All right, so the person in your energy, Two of Swords. We have Justice in reverse, Libra energy. And we have the Nine of Swords in the reverse. So this person is in some sort of a decision. They're kind of going back and forth about making a decision. I feel like this is somebody who either feels like they've been treated unjustly. You've argued with this person and you do have feelings for them, but there's been some kind of back and forth arguing that's taken place, and that's actually caused a lot of imbalance here. So this person is trying to make some sort of decision after all of this imbalance. They may be portraying themselves as a victim here, or they could be, you know, maybe it'd be unusual. Leos are pretty easygoing, but for somebody out there, I could be dealing with a toxic Leo. If it's yours, own it. If it's not, let it go. But this person's definitely feeling as if they have been in some way victimized, or that they have been the one that's done that. They could also be having some legal issues or legal problems right now, so be aware of that. With the Nine of Swords here in the reverse, I can tell you that they're coming out of it. Whatever this energy is, they're trying to make a decision, and it's very important to them to make a decision that's right. They don't want to make a decision and then feel like they made the wrong decision, and that's why they're kind of going back and forth. You're interpreting that as them, you know, not wanting to make a decision. I don't think that's true, Leo. I think that they do, but they're afraid of making the wrong decision. And that if they do, it's just going to bring a lot of chaos into their life. And they've dealt with some kind of chaos here with this Nine of Swords in reverse. This person went through some really sleepless nights, maybe over a legal issue, maybe over a situation that was really unbalanced. And now they're coming out of that. They're seeing the light of day, and they don't want to move back to that. So let me see. Show me the energy between Leo and this person. That's too many. Show me the energy between Leo and this person, please. Yeah, there's unresolved issues here. There's a cycle that hasn't closed out yet. And this person's not quite able to close it out. Even though I do feel like they have been given like guidance, like angelic guidance to do so, there's some kind of cycle that hasn't closed out between the two of you, and it needs to. In order for the two of you to move forward, it needs to close out. It was some kind of a toxic cycle. Let me see. Show me what's affecting the connection. Show me what's... Thank you. All right, we have the Five of Wands reversed, coming out with the Five of Swords. So you're trying to close it out, Leo. Look at this energy. Five of Wands in the reverse, and they've got the Five of Swords in the upright. It's not closing out because this person is portraying themselves as a victim, and they're actually in their ego here. They want to fight, or they're still in the fight. They're still in the fight here. And you're over here saying, you know, why can't we just start this over? Why can't we just end this cycle? It's been toxic, but they won't let it end. They won't let it end. And you want it to end. You want this fresh beginning. Wow. So this is why you're coming out here as being balanced and grounded and speaking your truth. But they're over here saying, oh, I can't be, you know, stressed about this. You did this. You did that. They just want to win. They just want to be right. And so they don't really care at this point who gets hurt. Now, their decision that they have to make is whether to step out of their ego and end this whatever conflict that happened. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you're the one who has the issue. I think that you're showing up here like wanting a fresh beginning. And you're trying to create it. You're trying to step out of all of this toxic energy, but they won't do it because they haven't made up their mind to do so. Yeah, and it's like everybody's waiting for them to step out of their ego, but they can't do it. Now, that being said, this person could also be fighting legal issues. And I feel like they feel they're right. They feel like somebody has treated them unjustly legally, if that's the case. And they're still dealing with that. All right, let me see your outcome. The Three of Pentacles. So that's good. That's good. That's working on things, working it out. Creating things, building a stable foundation. And that's what this person wants. That's what they need. They've had so much chaos in the past. Part of it legally, perhaps, or it could be, you know, from some other or some other situation. But there's definitely been toxicity between the two of you. And this person is definitely, you know, they don't fight fair. They are a little bit narcissistic, and when they are in that fight mode, they portray themselves as a victim, and they don't care who gets hurt. And you're over here saying, we don't have to fight. We don't have to fight. Let's just communicate. Let's just talk honestly. Let's just bring some balance into this. Let's heal this situation. We can work this out. So they will get to the point where they will begin to put the effort into working this out because they want this solid foundation. But you're dealing with somebody that's a little bit of a mess, if I'm being honest. All right, bottom of the deck is the Eight of Cups in the reverse. This is underlying energy. So one of you walked away from this connection at some point and is returning, or this could also be indicating that you're unwilling to walk away from the situation. So let's clarify. Spirit, why is the Devil here for Leo? Show show me the devil for Leo. All right, so here we have the Three of Coins. That's in your outcome. Four of Swords. We have the Three of Pentacles, and we have the King of Pentacles. So there's a need for you to speak up for yourself, Leo. In order for this to work out, to be able to work through whatever's taking place with this person, you're going to have to speak up, because that's the toxic energy that's with you. You have difficulty speaking up, and I feel like not only within this situation, but also with regard to your money, possibly with work situations. Now, you could know this person through work, but there's a toxic energy within you that you hesitate to speak up for yourself in order to work things through. And it's showing up in at least two areas of your life, in your love life, and it's showing up in your work or however you make your money. There's also a need for you to, ground yourself. I do see you working really hard right now, but are you doing that in order to avoid dealing with this situation? Because right now what I see is that you're trying to build something here, something that you do like, and I see you really focused on your money and your stability, but there's some toxic energy, and that's because you could be avoiding dealing with this situation here. So just be aware of that. Just be aware of it. You could also be trying to work things out with a earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn energy, and feeling that you can't speak honestly or clearly. You may have had, if you walked away from this situation, there was a break that you had because of the toxic energy that was here. Show me the Page of Cups. Show me the Page of Cups. I do see you being very dedicated, very committed to this connection. All right, we have the Queen of Wands reversed, and we have the Nine of Pentacles reversed. You could be dealing with a trauma bond or a codependent connection, so be aware of that. I also feel like some of you are trying to explore maybe a side hustle or something creative, but you're afraid that if you move in that direction, it's not going to bring you the money that you're looking for, that you're actually going to incur a loss, and your finances, your stability is very, very important to you. Now, with regard to this connection, I do feel that, I do feel like you hold back a lot. You love this person, I can see it, but you hold back a lot because you don't want to have conflict with them. You could be arguing about money. You could be arguing about, they could be accusing you of doing things that is wrong, but you hold back a lot with regard to this connection. And it's because of a fear of loss. You're afraid of losing this person, and so you avoid conflict with them. When in fact, you're actually really desiring to have commitment and stability. So let me see the bottom energy for Leo. All right, we have the Seven of Cups reversed. We have the Two of Pentacles reversed and the High Priestess. You're very intuitive. You're very intuitive, but then you don't take the action that your intuition is telling you. So there's things that you need to communicate to this person, and you spend a lot of time weighing up the pros and cons about whether or not you should say it. Because I feel like you're extremely intuitive here, but I also feel like you just keep a lot to yourself. You don't follow through with what your intuition is telling you. And I feel like there's a shift that's occurring. And it's occurring because in order to bring balance to this situation, you're going to have no other choice but to decide to communicate, to be clear, to bring balance into your life, which then brings balance into this situation. So I definitely feel like you're working on it. You're recognizing some toxic energy within yourself, And also I see you recognizing what it is that you're desiring, what it is that you're wanting. And I see a struggle within you to follow your own intuition. My advice to you, Leo, is follow that intuition, because that High Priestess is in the upright. And I do feel that you're right on target. And that if you decide to do that, and to communicate clearly, honestly, and yet in a very balanced manner with this person, it's going to bring about a working connection. So don't doubt yourself here. Let's look at this person's energy. Show me the Two of Swords. Show me the Two of Swords for the person in Leo's energy. All right, Five of Cups reversed and the King of Cups. You might be dealing with a Pisces, Scorpio, Cancerian energy. Yeah, this person is trying to decide, you know, about their feelings. This person has a difficult time expressing their feelings, and this is not new. This has been an issue in this connection. They know they have feelings for you. And these feelings, they've kind of done this review of the past with you. They know they have the feelings, but they have a very difficult time expressing their emotions. So they're trying to decide how to navigate this relationship. There's also a decision of whether or not to, you know, bring this connection back together. And have a second chance. The Five of Cups reversed is like having a second chance after having gone through a lot of sadness. And this person did. They went through some sadness. They went through some anxiety, sleepless nights here. And so I do feel like one of you, either you or the other person, or maybe even both of you, walked away from this connection. And it's during this period that this person felt all of this emotion. And they have a hard time dealing with emotion, period. But here's the thing, is that neither of you felt like things were over between the two of you. But this person's going to have to make a decision about whether or not, or how to express their emotions properly in order to, you know, bring balance. Let me see Justice in reverse. Show me Justice in reverse for the person in Leo's energy. There it is again, Page of Cups reversed and the Ace of Wands. This person may have had, they may be feeling guilty because it looks like they had a relationship possibly with someone else that was more or less physical, looked very sexual, not really encompassing feelings and emotions and love, although they did try to convince themselves of that. So they could be feeling a little bit guilty. They could be feeling like they, in some way, didn't do right by you, Leo. If that's the case, that relationship did end. And I do feel that that's why this person, because remember, they're going to feel that guilt. And instead of taking accountability, instead of discussing it, instead of even having that conversation with themselves, what they do is they feel guilty and then they blame you, which is not very productive. But again, it comes across because of the difficulty they have within themselves. This person needs to heal their energy because this is causing a big imbalance. It's ego driven. It creates a lot of conflict, and this person doesn't fight fair. They fight without feelings and emotions. So even though they have these strong feelings and emotions, they tamp them down whenever the two of you have conflict, and they're just all about the win. And that's really destructive. So it creates wrongdoing, basically. So I will say, and they could even have legal issues involving that person that they may have been involved in. Regardless, they're very passionate about you. They do have the feelings, but they are much more comfortable. This is somebody who's more comfortable showing their feelings and their emotions in a physical manner. So be aware of that. But they also are difficult to get along with, and you're not. So the two of you approach conflict in a very different manner. And I feel like they can kind of overpower you a little bit because you kind of pull back and don't take action. But there's some codependency that's driving that. So be aware. And you know, once you make a change in yourself, it changes the entire dynamics of the relationship. So let me see this Nine of Swords in reverse. Show me the Nine of Swords reverse. All right, we have the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Page of Swords, and we have the Star card, Aquarian energy. So, yeah, this person, like, they have a lot of anxiety that they hide. They mask it behind this ego, behind this, you know, conflict-driven energy. But this person literally is constantly watching you, Leo. They're constantly watching you to figure out if they should move forward, if it's going to work out, if it's going to be balanced. It's like they don't trust you, or they don't trust themselves, you know? Because the reason that they're constantly worrying, or the reason they're constantly watching you, is because it's to avoid anxiety. They want to make sure it's always balanced. They want to make sure that everything's moving forward. They're hyper vigilant. Yeah, it's very weird. They're hyper vigilant, and they're doing that in order to appease their own anxiety. So I suspect this person feels a lot of anxiety. I do also feel, though, that there is going to be forward progress with this, because I do see you both working on it. I do see you making the decision to follow your intuition and to communicate honestly with this person. And I feel like it actually does make them feel better. You're a far better communicator than they are as well, but it does move this along a little bit better, and it brings some balance to the situation. So definitely follow your intuition there. Let me see the energy between Leo and this person. All right, so we have Seven of Pentacles. We have the Fool in reverse, the Knight of Cups reverse, and look at that. There it is again, the Five of Swords. So you've got this brand new beginning that should be happening here, but can't, because this person is just so in their ego, in their pride, you know, full of conflict, and they fight dirty. So they're not wanting to show their feelings and emotions. So this love offer never comes across, and because the love offer isn't coming across, it's creating a situation where whatever happened between the two of you doesn't actually get addressed, and it's fear-driven. It's fear-driven. You're being so patient, too, because you're committed to this connection. You want to work on this, and you're sitting here basically keeping your mouth shut to avoid conflict, but I think that that's not going to be in your best interest. You're definitely invested in this connection. And I do see you holding back the feelings and emotions. I do see you holding back, you know, taking action, making sure that you don't engage in conflict. I see all of that. But I also feel like, you know, there's something here that has something you've argued about, some kind of conflict. And this person is just ground in. They're ground in, and they're going to have to make that decision to resolve this. And in the past, it's not been resolved. It's not been resolved because of their pride. And part of that is why they're not expressing feelings and emotions either. That pride is stemming from fear. All right, let me see what's affecting the connection. There is love here. I definitely see it on both sides. But I feel like you're dealing with somebody that is very difficult to deal with, Leo. All right, we have the Queen of Pentacles. Wow, you're solid. Ace of Swords, beautiful. That's also in your energy. And then the Nine of Swords reverse, which is in their energy. So this conversation, there's a conversation that is going to be had between the two of you. You've been trying to avoid the conflict with this person this whole time. But I see you making the decision to have this conversation. And it's a very truthful, very honest communication that's going to take place. And this person's going to try to fight you, but you're not going to fight with them. You're solid here. You're very solid in this Queen of Pentacles energy. The Queen of Pentacles is somebody who is grounded, is a good mother, a good, spouse or partner. It's somebody that knows how to love themselves. It's not only committed to this connection, but committed to themselves and definitely grounded. And it's from that energy that you are communicating with this person. And here's the thing. It's going to create a new beginning, even though this person's going to fight you. Because they're cranky. Like, I don't even know what to say. They're going to fight you initially, but at the end of the day, that conversation, you choosing to have that conversation and speaking from your intuition, speaking from your gut, speaking in a healing manner, a grounded manner, it's going to end all of this. This person's going to take a step back. They're going to look at you very differently, and it's going to bring the balance. And I know you're afraid to have that conversation. You're afraid of how that's going to go, but follow your intuition. Let me look at your outcome. And it might be a little painful, that conversation. That conversation is going to have to do with this new beginning. It's going to have to do with the expression of feelings and emotions, honesty, conflict, how much you've invested in this connection, how patient you've been. I mean, it's going to be a heavy duty conversation. So I can see why you're avoiding it. I can see why it's hard. But it's going to clear the air. And it's long overdue. But I also see you being so grounded in the way you proceed. All right, so there it is. We have the Five of Pentacles. I'm sorry, Five of Cups. Why can't I even say the right words? I'm looking at it and it's not coming out. We have the Five of Wands. So there's the conflict. We have Temperance, Sagittarian energy. And then we have the Three of Swords. So it's going to be a painful thing, but you're being left with no option. Yeah, you have no option and you know it. So I do feel you're going to follow your intuition. It's going to be difficult for you. There's going to be conflict with it, but following that conflict is when the two of you begin to work things out. Because let me tell you something, this person does love you. They do want to move forward from this, but they can't get out of their own way. And what's going to happen is it's going to bring the balance into the situation. But first, there's going to be that conflict, okay? The conflict you've been trying to avoid, it is coming. And it's going to be painful. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's from there that you build the foundation. So you're going to be forced to stand up for yourself here, Leo. This person is going to look at this and they're going to begin to move out of this energy. They're going to start, understanding that they have to ground their emotions and their feelings if this connection is going to move forward into a better place. And it's literally going to bring this person into a more spiritual way of looking at things. So it's going to force change on them and it's going to force balance. Yeah. So I get it. It's going to be difficult and you've been avoiding it, but now's the time. Now's the time. And just go in prepared because there will be conflict and it will be painful. But the end result is building that foundation. Bottom of the deck is the Death card in the reverse. Again, it's telling me that there's things here likely from, distant past that have not resolved. We see it in the energy between the two of you. And it's coming, there's things here from one of you walked away from this connection or maybe both, but you were never over each other. And there's still things that have to be resolved that are stemming from back before the two of you decided to try this again. So, and I'll tell you this connection's not over either. But it's going to be difficult because you're dealing with somebody that's difficult. All right, show me advice for Leo. I mean, honestly, I don't envy you this task, Leo, but I will tell you this. If you go ahead and take care of this, because you've been avoiding it, it is going to lay that foundation. And it's going to be better for both of you. All right, so your advice says, release and surrender. We shower you with blessings of our radiant love. Open your arms and release the challenges that you've held tightly gripped within your hands. Open your hands, arms, and heart to our love and assistance. Yeah, so pray about it. Follow your intuition. You got this, Leo. All right, I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you've resonated with this reading, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hype this video if you get the opportunity. Until I see you in your next reading, Leo, know that you are loved, and namaste.